plan is to work on the bottom of this frame. Maybe there's a couple spots I need to touch up. Show you. You can see it. You can see a couple small holes right there. They feel pretty solid around it, but I think I'll just cut a rectangle out. I guess weld some new plate in there. Then I need to try to clean out these tubes as much as possible. I looked in there with a light camera and they don't look bad at all, but still need to clean it out real good. Same with the other side. Then probably also clean out the rocker, because it's all sealed. It looked pretty clean in there, but I want to maybe at least blow it out or wash it out with some soap and water so I can spray the inside of it in the frame. I got the valence panel cleaned up pretty good. Might just rinse it out with some soapy water, and once everything dries, I'm going to try to spray inside of here with a small little pump sprayer, and I'll probably put a hose on it and then move the nozzle to the end of the hose, and then I'll probably fish it up in there. Might not be perfect, but it's not going to hurt anything. I put some silicon bronze rod around this area because it looked like there's only a couple spot welds. It was, I don't know, felt pretty flimsy. Silicon bronze, you don't put too much heat into the metal, so I shouldn't be damaging anything. And I may put a little bit more on this side where it attaches to this valence panel, just to give it some extra strength. I put some in a little pinhole right there, and there was a little crack up here. Still need to finish it. Probably not gonna put it in too many places. Just anything that looks a little anemic. I think all this is pretty good, but on the other side I had to actually weld it. The spot welds came off. And I think there was a crack I saw somewhere in this panel. I'll have to look it over real good again. Also need to repair this. Somebody cut that out for put a radiator in the car. It definitely doesn't fit. It was a lot wider. Just gonna pull the steering column and the master cylinder out just to have more room in that corner. Probably once I get this front end all painted and at least epoxied somewhat back together, I'll take the dash out and the heater box and clean it out real good. Did some metal repair here, which I didn't show me actually doing, but there was a big rectangle cut out of here. If we look on this side, you can see it kind of like multiple heights, different planes, so it's stamped down. So is this side. Then so it still down, but then it needed to come back out up here. So I was actually able to tack this piece of metal in and then work it around with some hammers and stuff and come out pretty good. Could use a little bit more finishing with the cleanup wheel or something on that weld, but it's really hard to get into this corner because it's in a inside corner there, and I have that little air die grinder thing, and still hard to get in there. It just kind of tears up the corner of the wheel, so I think I got it where I'm happy with it. On the bottom of the frame here, I cut out a pretty good section, and then I found some metal. And you see it's a little pitted, but it's plenty thick, and I welded in there, and you can't even feel the welds or anything. It's just besides the little pitting right there, but once it's cleaned up and everything, it'll be fine. So next step is to clean up the front end a little bit more. There's some spots I'm probably going to hit with the sandblaster where I can't get regular wire wheel or sandpaper on. So things like that. And then down in the control arm area, hit that with the sandblaster, clean up the rest of it. I got most of the stuff out of the cowl panel, but I'm going to wash it out with some soapy water and then let it dry. Then I modified a sprayer. I'll show you that later. But basically I extended the nozzle on this tiny little half-gallon hand pump sprayer, and sprays really well. Hopefully you'll spray paint. I'll thin it down so it's real thin, but hopefully I can just feed it up through here with a coat hanger. I can also feed it through these little ports here for the washer fluid nozzles, and that should be pretty good. And then plan to use the same system to get inside the frame rail. I can feed it down through here from the front and then come through a couple of the spots in the frame. And it looks like it would coat the frame pretty good. If it misses a spot, then oh well. I mean, it's already going to be better protection than the factory. Definitely better protection than it has now. And then I was thinking about, once I completely get done with the paint and everything on the car, to come back through once it's assembled and spray some boiled linseed oil in there as well, just to give it some extra protection. So here's what I got going on to spray the inside of things with. This little, this 1 liter pump sprayer. And the nozzle pulled right out of the plastic piece there. And then I threaded in this compression union thing. This is just a kit off an oil pressure gauge, one of those mechanical ones. So I just heated it up a little bit and screwed it into the plastic, and then put the tubing on there. And I just straightened out a good portion of a coat hanger and put these zip ties on. I was able to solder that nozzle onto the compression fitting piece out of the kit. So hopefully this will spray paint. This was $5 at, I think, a Family Dollar or something like that. Some dollar store. So if I ruin it, guess no harm done. It sprays water really nicely. It has an adjustable nozzle. So hopefully I'll get it to spray paint. I'm gonna thin it with the mineral spirits. Hopefully that'll work. As far as the car prep goes, I've sandblasted a few harder to get spots, but then I blew out the frame rails and the cowl really good with air until no debris came out. I think I got all of it, or at least anything that would come loose. I sprayed everything with soapy water, the pump sprayer. Then I power washed it out. Blew it out with air, let it sit for a while to dry. Came back and blew it out again. I didn't see any water coming out anywhere. It's pretty hot sitting out here in the sun. I think it's dried up pretty good. I'll let it sit just a little longer while I prepare stuff, but it feels dry. So I plan to do both the front frame rails, the inside of the rockers there, and up in this cowl panel, or valence panel, whatever you want to call it. Looks really clean in there. This is what I used on the suspension. I usually use the Harbor Tractor Supply brand. It's called Magic Farm or Tractor and Implement Paint, but they had this Rust-Oleum on sale, and I figured I'd give it a shot. I've always had good luck with that Magic stuff. I don't even use any hardener in it. I just thin it with, you know, like an acetone or other kind of solvent, quick flashing solvent, and spray it. It usually dries pretty quickly. This stuff seemed to work pretty good. I just brushed it on those suspension pieces and it dried pretty quickly, and it's hard. And it says you can just thin it with mineral spirits. So that's what we're gonna do. Got a funnel made up here. There's some mineral spirits in there. I don't know if that's going to be too much or not. We'll see. Alright, after getting the paint thinned back down to I think what it was to begin with, now it sprays very nicely. So I think that will work. Okay. Sorry I didn't show you me actually doing that, but that sprayed pretty flawlessly. Yeah, I doubt you're going to be able to tell, but it coated really well. I can see up in the valence panel it's definitely got a pretty good coat in there. It sprayed out the top here. With it being so thin, it's not going to be, you know, a real thick coat of paint or anything like that, but I feel like it'll really add a little bit of protection. I definitely don't think it can hurt anything. I sprayed inside of those as well. It was pouring out the drains. I'll take a pick or something, just make sure none of the drains are plugged with paint after the fact. But it turned out really well, and the sprayer even came completely clean, so I think I'll be able to use it again. I ended up using that almost full liter of paint mineral spirit mix. It's already pretty tacky. See, it's not terribly thin. Like I said, it's just to give it a little extra help. And it sprayed out of all these holes and stuff. It's all over the ground. I was looking at that product Eastwood sells. It's called inner frame coating or something like that, internal frame coating. And you know, they're advertising it's a phenolic resin, and it has a bunch of zinc phosphate in it or something to protect it. The stuff is like $25 a can once you get it shipped. And really, the only reviews I could find of the stuff after some time had passed was pretty bad. I mean, people said they did a lot of prep work and sprayed it on there. I think one guy said he used 6 cans for his frame. You know, Eastwood only recommends, I think they said 4 cans for a frame or something. So it really seemed like he put it on there pretty thick. He said it was already rusting through just after a month or so. You know, that's just one guy, but everyone that put it on said it was great. But I couldn't find anybody that followed back up with, you know, a month later, 6 months later, a year, anything. I mean, I found a few people, and the reviews just were not very good for it, so I decided instead of spending $25 a can, spent $30 some for the Rust-Oleum and whatever mineral spirits was, and a $5 sprayer. And I think it came out pretty well. I mean, you could even do a couple coats, have plenty more of that paint left in that other container I poured it into. So you could do a second coat, but I think it's already pretty good.